Kia ora and welcome to the Kiwi Advisor Network podcast. Today's episode is with Sarah Bloxham from Let's Talk Mortgages and Insurance. It's an amazing episode. She's got some great insights into how she structures her days, speaking at conferences, how she's added different services to her offering. Somebody who started out not working for a bank, I think that's a really interesting journey. I think you'll enjoy it. And as always, thanks so much for sharing the podcast. We get really good numbers of people listening to us. Considering it's such a niche industry and a very niche podcast, this does count towards your CPD hours, so tick them up and enjoy the podcast. Sarah Bloxham, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yep.
I know we've had a long time chatting to each other, and it's great to connect over this type of medium. I'm keen to find out how you got into the industry. How
did I get into the industry? Well, my background's actually IT, so I'm one of the few that's not banking, which I think is actually a bonus not being a banker. But that's just me because I am not one. So I started off on IT, and which is a very long career in IT here in the UK. And then I started a property management company, and I had that for 3 years, and then I sold it, which is a bit of an ego boost selling a property management company. And I knew I always wanted to be in property because I'd had investments and have investments, properties, etc. And so that's sort of what led me into becoming a mortgage advisor.
And I saw on your website you used to be called, was it Yes?
Yes, Home Loans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why the change to
Okay,
Let's
so
Talk?
what happened with that was when I first started my business and I named myself Yes Home Loans, I looked everywhere and there was no Yes Home Loans. So it was all fine. Started the business, was going for about a year, and then I was parked at a petrol station and this guy pulled up next beside me with Yes all over his car. And I looked at him and I thought, oh, this is going to be interesting. And he just stood beside me, and he was not a friendly chap. And he goes, you've called yourself Yes Home Loans. Oh, don't worry. You'll probably last about 2 years and then I'll sue the ... off you because I've actually trademarked the word yes for all finance. And I got in my car, drove around the corner, had a bit of a cry, and then thought, come on, Sarah, pick yourself up. Because I was just about to rebrand to Yes Home Loans and Insurance. And so I thought, no, I want to get the word home loans out of there anyway, because I'm not home loans, I'm obviously investments, etc. as well, investment properties. So that's, and my good friend of mine said, Sarah, you got to have the word Let's Talk. And I was like, oh, that's so perfect. Let's Talk Mortgages and Insurance. And it's just cool because it's just a really cool little word you can put everywhere. Let's talk. So that's how the Yes Home Loans went in a bad way, but in a good way. It was a great thing to rebrand, and it was only a year in. So handy tip for anyone listening or watching. If you're going to name your company anything, actually look for trademark words similar to yours. It's not just a matter of me looking out there, and I really looked for companies that don't have your name. People can actually trademark parts of your words.
And he trademarked the word yes.
Yeah, for all finance. He said it took him 20 years to trademark that word for Yes Finance.
Oh,
so
wow.
he does personal loans in the South Auckland area.
Is he still going?
Yep. He's quite big, I think.
Yeah, all right. And you didn't have any troubles with Let's Talk? Have you seen anybody else on the other side?
No, we're all good on that side.
I feel like it's a common thing. People say, like, Let's Talk. I said,
yeah, but then it's a
sue him.
So it's all good with that name.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And it's interesting hearing that you didn't come from the bank, because I'd say 95% of people come from that direction. How did you find it when you first started out?
I was lucky enough that I first started as 6 weeks. I worked for Onion Home Loans, which was part of GJ Gardner. And the owner and another person in there was Rachel, who was ex-head of Westpac. And then I think she went back, and she's now back with GJ Gardner's, I think, in some other capacity. And she taught me right from the beginning how to present a application going in. And of course, when you've got someone who's head of ops at a lender, it's pretty cool that you've learned exactly how the bank wants to see it right from day one. And after 6 weeks, I decided to leave because just being in new builds and only being able to do loans for that particular provider of new builds and not even do it for any other ones was then really restricting your lending capacity and what you could choose to do. So I just decided to go out on my own, and that's when then the Yes Home Loans sort of came out of that. But yeah, that was sort of the very beginning, and it was a big thing going out by yourself. And what was really interesting, the very first loan actually came from them. Yeah, so shall I share that story?
Yeah, go on.
It's really quite cool. So this is where, when you're beginning, don't just say no to something you don't know. So they called me up and said, look, Sarah, we've got a client that needs a non-bank deal. Can you do it? And I just went, yep. And I said, what is it? Blah, blah, blah. And he emailed me the stuff, and he wanted some kickback, which was fine. And then I hung up the phone. I went, right, how do you do a non-bank deal? And I had no idea. And I knew I could do it. And I ended up getting that client. And for that client, I did quite a few loans, and they gave me quite a few leads. And it really started off. So don't ever think I can't do it. Ask. And that's, I suppose that's part of our conversation today, is about sharing the knowledge, you know.
We need more of it. I think that's even a Richard Branson quote. It's if you're presented with a good opportunity, take it and figure it out later.
Which is what happened at the beginning of my, mortgage career.
And I guess you would have taken that scope into everything you learned, because if you only have one product, like what did you do to get all that knowledge of the lenders? Did you just go on like a big binge, or how did you
I think, once you've got one, you're looking, okay, what's the differences, so you can see. But the thing you've got to, even now today, any day I'm talking to a client, any day, any time, I'm saying, this is what you can do today now, it's not tomorrow. So, and it's the same with the lenders. When you're looking and trying to learn a lender, you've really got to be on top. What are their changes, and making that connection with your BDM. And if you can't get connection, try really hard, or then find another BDM somehow. But if you can be building that connection with BDM, so you're working together for the client, then you can find out answers really quick when you need to find out answers really quick.
Do you do much to like build the relationship with the BDMs to get that connection so they pick up the phone?
Well, that's just sometimes how it happens. Most of the time how it happens. And obviously all the lenders are different, and all the lenders, some of the BDMs come and go and that sort of thing. And then you've got other lenders with the BDMs there for ages. So you do get a good relationship. But I think it's really about, if you know their policy guide, like over the years, I know I've had assessors who've said no for something, and I've gone and said, well, yes, this does work. Your policy page number, blah. And then I've gone, and then the assessments turn around different. So sometimes you've got to really know just the little nitty bits of stuff. And that then also comes down to your diary note. So one of the things about my diary notes, our diary notes, right from the beginning, they're really big and they're really detailed, and you take out fluffy stuff, but you're really saying, my goal is there is not one thing missing from an application when it goes in, and there's not one thing missing from the diary note. So obviously a new build might not have a title or a code of compliance, but when you're doing a diary note to a lender, you want the assessor to pick it up and read it. Sarah met these clients on, they're a couple with no children. This is what residency, whatever they have. There's no financial circumstances changing in the next 12 months, etc. We've included rates and insurance. And then you're going down to talking about each person and the one-off costs and that sort of thing. But it's the more precise you can be in this, and it's not really bullet pointed. It's sort of like paragraphs of a story. Because if you can make the assessor read it and go, okay, for example, lots of couples now have one car that's theirs and one car that is a company car. So you're going to go, these clients have two cars. One car is a company car, therefore costs are low. Or both clients have company cars, therefore there are no transport costs. So that way the assessor isn't looking for car insurance, that sort of thing. So I think that's probably one of the things way back at the beginning was the learning the diary note. But from then and then we've really adapted it more.
Devil's in the detail.
100%. That's really good words as well, Warwick. But yeah, the more detail, just take the time, don't rush, and get that note. And I've got Helena working for me, which we'll talk about soon, is really to be looking at going, okay, what extra stuff can we put in there that the assessor might be looking for, and we're trying to put ourselves in their shoes, because the less communication I have with them saves my time, and then I'm getting the pre-approval back for the client.
Also want to talk about how you got into insurance as well. That's another nuance.
It is a huge one, hey?
It is another big one. A lot of advisors kind of weigh up, should they do it, hire somebody else to come in and do it? Like there's like a big thing, you got a big decision to make.
Yep.
How did that decision-making process work for you?
Wow.
And then how did you learn it?
Well, what's really interesting is when I first started doing mortgages so I've been a mortgage advisor nearly 8 years, and insurance advisor just over 5 years. And what happened was the first 2 years, I just wanted to do mortgages. That was my passion. And I was passing out insurance advisors, but I was never getting any emails back saying, hey, Sarah, thanks for the referral to A and B. They ended up getting this and this, and thank you for your service. I'd love to take you out for lunch, or do you want a 10% cut or something? But there was no feedback on anything. And it was sort of like I'd given this really great hot referral and no connection back. And when I got into about 2 years, I thought, you know what, I can do this. At the time, I didn't think I'd like insurance as much as I do, but the circle of life going around, because I do mortgages, I do personal insurance, and I'm also a celebrant, goes really together that people should be looking after the whole thing. And the client getting personal insurance needs to get it before they get, my phrase is, the keys to the front door. Because as soon as they get the keys to the front door, they don't want to be talking to the mortgage advisor anymore. They want to be finished. And so, and you want to let them be finished and get on and enjoy their home, right? So day before, I got a really cool photo of a couple with their family having fish and chips on the floor when they moved into their house, which is really cool. And that's what we want to see. But from the insurance side, you've got these really hot leads coming in. So in a business, you can either start doing it yourself and learn how to do it properly because you've got the leads coming in. You can hire someone to be part of your business if you have other staff, or you could just be giving it to a person. So pretend you're an insurance advisor, Warwick, and I'm giving you the leads. You would need to get more information from the person about me, because then when you start the call with the person, if we're in separate businesses, you actually sound more like you know them rather than going in so cold as me just emailing and going, good luck, Warwick. You know, I can be saying, hey, look, Steve and Sally are very quiet people. You have to be gentle with them. Their culture is gentle people, and but they're very keen to have insurance because they see the value of it. They're going to be having a mortgage of $600,000. They've got no children yet, but they plan children in the future. They're very healthy, but they're aware that you can get ill, and so they're probably looking at medical as well. So you can see that it's. I'm just making this up right now, which is actually sounding really good, right?
Sounds like a good one.
Yeah. And that's also when you're confident in your business that you run. How you can share it with some people. So if I was referring to you, I'd be talking about it. I'd be emailing you so that you felt confident. I'd be telling the client, you know, you're a good friend of mine. That's why you are my insurance referrer person, etc. So yeah, I think also another thing in this conversation is that I always refer to myself as I'm never selling. I'm never selling a product, whether it's a mortgage or a insurance. People have got to see the need to buy. They've got to see the need and the benefit of a mortgage advisor. I don't really do clients who are rate chasers because I can't be bothered. I want to make a difference in New Zealand and get Kiwis into first homes, so they're my passion. But same with the insurance of backing it up. They really need insurance because they've spent so long saving this deposit. But for insurance, as an insurance advisor, I'm not selling you Warwick Insurance. You're seeing the need to buy it, and then the cost has to come into your expenses.
That's such a good way of looking at it. I know so many advisors, and they're on that same wavelength where, I don't know, when they start out, they have a lot of people chasing rates, and you want customers, so you're chasing it, but then you realize those are the ones that leave you as soon as there's a better deal, or I don't know, they don't communicate as well because they're not seeing the value. They're just seeing you as somebody who's I don't know, middleman.
Which is how it used to be years ago with the rate. When I first started, the banks were very, very different in what their offerings. And over the years, then they all become the same, and then they all start to go different again. And that's why you got to be really on top of it. I think one of the other things is keeping in touch with your clients. And so I really reconnect with my clients. And so I make a point of saying, hey, today it's looking like this. Please know when we reconnect in 3 months or 6 months' time, the test rate could be different, etc. So that they really know that what we're talking about today is not going to be the number in October.
And then when did you get to the point where you brought in your lovely support staff member, Helena?
So in August, Helena's been with me 4 years, which I'm very fortunate to have her in my business. And I think the piece where you think, oh my gosh, I need a person. And I really thought I only needed someone 20 hours a week. And when I knew Helena was potentially looking for a job, or this is for anybody looking for an assistant, I think you've got to think wider than the 20 hours. And then, so my thing was, Helena came into the business and started on, I took her on at 40 hours a week as a standard, a salaried person, etc. And my words to her were right. And this is of August 2019. So before COVID was invented, as I refer to it, in April of 2020. And the August 2019, I said to her, right, what we're going to do is we're going to get you started. I know you're going to be fairly busy, but if you go too quiet, we'll start marketing more, because I don't really market. And that was really funny. So that was August. So you're starting off to September, October. And I taught her that prior to COVID, April to September is usually pretty quiet. We work on the business, not in the business, not that many leads, blah, blah, blah. So she started August, September, to April's pretty busy with summer clients. And then April, COVID hit. Well, COVID was actually, even though it was atrocity for the world, was actually the best thing that happened to my business, because Kiwis stayed at home and they all started buying houses, which was truly amazing. So we're buying all houses and stuff, and winter comes through and our business doesn't go slower. And Helena's going, is there going to be actually any slow time? No, not going to be a slow time. And she never had a minute to spare from day one. And you sort of look back and you go, my handy tip would be to anyone thinking they need an assistant is to get one if you even start thinking about it, not to wait till you desperately need one, but to be thinking. And the other thing is the wording in it. Now, it's also I think what's really important in hiring staff is what their job titles are. And for you, that if you turn into the employer, you might think, it's just a job title. But so Helena's my client manager. She's way more than an assistant because she's managing the clients. There's definitely a definition of what she talks to the clients about and what she does, because I am the mortgage advisor and all clients know I'm the mortgage advisor. However, it's really important she's a client manager, and it sounds really good. She is managing the clients for me. And the thing I always joke to my clients about is, hey, I'm really good at this, talking to their faces on the Zoom. I said, and she's really good at the back end, the collecting of documents, the talking to them about what she needs and doesn't need. And her background, where she was working for another head group, and then prior to that, she's been in different roles where she's really good at looking at pay slips and stuff like that, because that's obviously where people think they earn more than they do.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
I love that part about giving a title that is a bit more meaningful than something just like assistant. You know?
It's just so, even PA is, well, no, it's just not nice. So yeah, and I'm sure you can come up, like I'm chief talker, which is no surprise, right? Yeah. And Helene is the client, Let's Talk client manager.
The trust in any type of working relationship, if you're the employer with the employee, you know, somebody trusts you and it goes both ways, you know, they'll do anything for you. They've got to almost feel like they're part of the family.
Yep.
You notice whenever people start getting that position where they're like, oh, this person's not doing a good job for me, there's always an element of like distrust either way. So to get the best out of people, you got to build that trust, and bringing somebody new into the business, you know, it takes time. Like, how did you get Helena up to a point where you were like, she is my
I think that actually started right from the beginning, but goes way back to an IT job I had. I worked for Telecom for 2.5 years, Telecom way before it Spark. So I've for a million years I was, so to speak, I was an IT contractor and never a permanent. And I had a job at Telecom, and I had a manager called Dave Lippard, and I remember his name, and he never ever micromanaged us. And if you remember little moments like that in your life, then when you become an employee, you never micromanage people because we're all adults. And of course, it's pretty obvious if a staff member isn't going to do their work. And so right from the ground moment we started, I know Helena knew that she wasn't being micromanaged, but you've got that open channel to always talk about stuff. And I think, you know, one of the mottos in my business is we change the business every single day. Every single day. There's not a day that goes past that we don't change something to make it better, make it better, make it better. Because if you are in a business that's exactly the same as it was last year, you're definitely going to get left behind. So, and that's cool. That's what I'm always open to. Helena comes up with cool ideas. Oh, we could do this. We could do that. And I go, yeah, that's a cool idea. And because we have our, we do 2 meetings a week as well. So should I talk about that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So part of being a FAP is having meetings and that sort of thing. So, and even if you don't have it, we've been doing these meetings since the beginning of time anyway. So on a Monday morning, we have a meeting and we talk about all the meetings ahead about for the current week and who's the hot clients, what we've got to look at.
What, physically or?
Oh, actually, I don't know that until I actually see them on Zoom, but that would be a little bit wrong. That would, no, you're not. That would be a little bit funny and wrong. Anyway, gotcha. So, on a Friday morning, it's, even though I haven't done the meetings for the day then, it's looking back at conversion rate. So all of the meetings are obviously in my Outlook calendar, but they're also on a spreadsheet Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And as I do the meeting, I email the client straight afterwards in nature and scope of advice. I then go into my list and I go, yes, no, 3 months. When's it coming? Or is it just a definite no that they're not going anywhere? And then at the end of the week, we're looking at closure, I suppose, because in the end, if my numbers go too low, I've got to look at my meetings and go, okay, am I talking to the client wrong? Am I not asking them for the next meeting? Am I not sort of getting it right? Because we don't want to do X amount of meetings per week and not know we're actually getting through them and turning them to a pre-approval. And I really, really try to get as many clients as possible pre-approval, so when they go looking for a house, it's just much easier to just be focusing on the property. Just the end of the meeting, that's right.
Yeah.
So the end of the meeting is really important because then you're looking back, and we're also looking at our financials. So we look at all the financials from 1st of April till now. So I'm now, in the next couple of weeks, I already know what I'm going to finish the year on. I already know what I'm doing month by month from January to March, and same for I'm keeping my numbers for the insurance side as well. So that meeting on Friday is really important because you need clarity to think, hey, I've actually had a good week. And another handy tip is whether you're working from home or office, is when you leave 5 or 6 or whatever time you leave your office, even if it's a room, you shut the door at home, is to walk. And I just look back at my laptop and my desk and go, you had a really good day. You had a really good day. You changed someone's life, especially being a focus on first home buyers. Sometimes it can be really stressful. It can be just people don't know what's debt, or their English might not be good. And you just got to find that common ground and make each other laugh and then get through it. But you know you've changed someone. But you've still got to look back, even if you're knackered or got a wee headache, and walk out and go, you know, that was cool. I did it. I made a difference.
Sometimes even setting realistic targets of what you can achieve.
Yep.
That just gives you that little bit of satisfaction, because nothing worse. I've been out of the office a couple of days this week, and I just feel like I'm so far behind. So every day I finish, you just have that like...
It depends though what you're out of the office for. And I think also that's different because like I was out of the office on Wednesday for a conference, and it's people, if you're in a networking group, I don't do any networking at the moment, but if you're going to a networking meeting, say a BNI or a TNG or something like that, and then people don't turn up because they've got a client, well, that's a bit wrong, because those networking meetings are actually your work. So you should be turning up, and that should be a non-negotiable. So when people don't turn up for those, it's networking as well is a part of your business, or like the FSC conference I went to, even though that was a struggle and I had 2 client meetings after it, that's also my business because I'm learning from the speakers.
How'd you find that conference? I didn't go.
That was really good. So 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was at the TMM conference, which is quite exciting, and you were there. And I was lucky enough to be asked to be a speaker. And that talk went really, really well because I picked up on an MDRT thing. So MDRT is $1 Million Roundtable and is to do with insurance. When you go to those conferences, you learn it's all about giving of information because none of us are the same. None of us are heading for the same exact client, and we can share information. However, I did have one person ring me up and want like my whole process. No. That would be like 8 years of IP, so that's no. But it's about if you share just a little bit, someone might be able to improve their business and then make themselves earn more, have more clients, make a difference to Kiwis, you know.
What are some key tips you learnt when you were at the $1 Million Roundtable?
$1 Million Roundtable, wow. There are so many different ethnicities of people at that. You get some really different thoughts and mind-provoking ideas from people that it's not all the same. And it makes sure that because we Kiwis are so multicultural now that we're listening and talking to different people, because one culture might not be interested in income cover at all, but just life cover. Some might want the whole Monty. There's certain ethnicities that just straight away, we want insurance, we want lots, we don't care if it costs lots of money because they just know, and in their countries it may have been a requirement. So, but it's really listening to people in ideas of things. And one of the words was from my friend Doug, who's in the UK and a friend and like a business mentor to me. He always finishes a sentence by, how does that sound? Now, it wasn't originally his, it was someone else's in MDRT. If you think of you're talking to Warwick and I'm talking to Warwick and his partner, I'm going, blah, 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 and we've talked and we talked and talked, and you can see they're like, oh my gosh, Sarah has talked a lot. I go, how does that sound? And then they go, oh, that actually sounds really good, Sarah. I say, cool. What month should we reconnect? And see, so that also hasn't given you a yes or no. You might, I might go, does April sound good? Because say that's January. Oh yeah, how does that sound? And so they go, oh yeah, that sounds good. So we were learning these sentences that we get from things. Then we're not having yes or no answers from clients. So that was one thing I picked up. Another one was to say the word, not say the word just. So I've got a lot of signature templates in my Outlook to send people, which I did then just edit bits. And one had the look, I just changed it a couple of days ago, it was an introduction to a solicitor and it had just introducing. So I then changed it to a capital I and not the word just, because we're not just anything. We are introducing ourselves. We are doing this. We're not just. It's the same as someone goes, oh, I've just got a wee business. I've just got a little business. No, you haven't got a wee little business. You have a business. And so if you're talking all this positive, people can hear you feeling positive, which is really cool. So get rid of the word just.
I have seen a similar thing recently. I've noticed, and I now backspace them out of my emails. It'll be something on the lines of, I just wanted to catch up, or and then so now I'm saying I wanted to catch up.
Yeah.
It just sounds so much more.
Did you change that, or now you're going to change it?
I've already changed
it.
Good.
So so it's cool when you can learn these little bits, but also I think the coolest thing about going to conferences, whether it's the huge MDRT conferences, which are big to attend and you've got to qualify, or the TMM conference, which was the best mortgage advisors conference, and definitely if anyone's listening or watching, go to that conference next year. The FSC conference was really cool, and I usually always go to Financial Advice New Zealand, but they were too close to each other, and they were a bit similar, so that's where I went. FSC's normally at Eden Park. A very, very wide variety, including politicians talking, which you might go, oh, I don't listen to politician, but it was, we had the VM, the FMA, we had a panel, so we had quite a wide, and it finished at like 2. So you're not there like till 5 o'clock and going home knackered. You're actually listening to quite a few different people with different perspectives on stuff. And your standard economist in a thing where and then you can take economists with a grain of salt, really, because sometimes they say something and it does work, and sometimes they don't. Yeah.
I find at conferences, you're right, like those whole day ones.
Yeah.
I always find there's a bit of a slump in the afternoon. And there might be somebody who's a little bit dry.
Yeah.
And you've got to keep it going. So I think if you just pack everything in that's really interesting, people enjoy.
Yeah.
That's the middle ground that you need to get.
It's also, though, making sure that you mix it up a bit, but that it's the tone of people speaking. Like I do find it hard speaking and sitting down because I've been a celebrant since 2009. You're always standing up. So I am much better standing up, and I use my hands quite a bit. So as you do when you're speaking. So when I'm sitting speaking, I do find it quite hard.
Should we stand up?
No, we're fine. So yeah. So I'll talk a little bit more about MDRT, if I may.
Yeah, I'm really interested in it.
So what happened in 2018 was I was going to the Gold Coast for a conference with my head group at the time, and all of a sudden my business flatlined. And when we say flatline, it means I've leads coming in and all of a sudden it stopped. And I was a single parent of 2 young children with money was very tight and no money coming in. Had an $8,000 car and my revolving credit was full. I'd borrowed a little bit of money off 2 friends, and I never do that because I'm independent. I've just had to be because that's just how I am. And so I thought, well, I've always paid for this conference. I've got to go. And that year I'd won New Advisor of the Year for Financial Advice New Zealand. I then went to that conference and I won New Advisor of the Year for that head group, which was pretty exciting. And I'm like, seriously excited. And in my head, I'm going, this is fantastic, but my business has stopped. And one of the speakers on the stage, and here's a handy tip, when you go to conferences, go on LinkedIn and link to the speakers. That's a very cool thing to do because then you can find out more about them before they actually come on stage. Okay, so I did that for this conference and I met a guy called Doug Bennett, and I thought, this is amazing. This speaker in Australia at this conference for New Zealand head group has come from England, Crawley, 1.6 miles from where I used to live. Unbelievable. For the billions of people in the world, shrink down. So when he talked on the stage, it was about his life and also goals to come true and focusing and all that sort of thing. And I'm now in 2 of his books. Which is pretty cool. And when he's standing up there with his lovely accent that I knew from the area I'd happened to live in, and when I was in the UK, and when he came off the stage, I said, excuse me, is there any time you've got a chance for a coffee? And he was with his wife, Bonnie, and we went for a coffee and chatted. No, that was cool. And then he went back to the UK and he was on the speaking circuit. He actually did some speaking. People will know him because he was at a couple of conferences here. And then he went back and then I plucked up the courage to ask for help. I don't ask anyone for help. It's just not me. And so I said, hey, I just wondered if there's any chance you could have a couple of chats with me and help me because I really need to find out why I've stopped. And anyway, that was 4 years ago. And him and I talk every single weekend. Every single weekend since 2018 we talk, apart from when he goes on holiday. And when he goes on holiday, I go, oh my God, Doug, I'm going to miss you when you're back. And it's like, and we talk about, we're just best friends now. And so last year when we went to MDRT in Boston, we saw each other for the first time since 2018 and went out for dinner and had quite a lot to drink and broke a couple of glasses, but that was fine. But what it turned around within 1 year was I'd paid my money back, I'd cleared my revolving credit down, I'd taken on a full lease of a 92 square metre office, I'd taken on Helena full time, I bought a brand new car. That was, so the brand new car was 2020. And so
wow, what did he say?
What did he say? Well, read his book. A lot of the time it is about focusing on your goals ahead, but really listening a lot to what people are saying. And obviously all our clients say stuff and sometimes don't say stuff. But it's also just having someone there on you. I always refer to it as having Doug on my shoulder. And sometimes I refer to myself to my clients. Like I'm the fairy mortgage advisor sitting on your shoulder here to help you. And, you'll see people post comments, oh, I'm too scared to ask my mortgage advisor. Your clients need to learn to never be too scared to ask you questions and stuff. But it's also about your confidence. So even now when I'm talking, I can feel and hear myself really confident. So when you've got this confident voice, your clients know that you're confident. So as your business grows, your tone changes, your conversation changes, but we all need to be able to talk to someone else and not feel stupid about asking questions. Even as mortgage advisors, we can't know everything. So if you think of a BDM of a bank, they've only got to know one bank. I mean, lots of times I can call a BDM and they don't know the answer. And you're like, wow, you've only got to know one bank. We've got to know all of the banks and I've got to know insurance. So make a little group of advisors that you can straight away. I've got about 3 people that I can message straight away. I can ask a question. There's no fluff. It doesn't go, hey, how are you? Yeah, we don't care about that. I've got this problem. Do you know the answer? Yes, Sarah, here's the answer. No, Sarah, I don't know the answer. But when you find out the answer, let me know too. And if you've got this really cool little relationship going back, you can then learn from each other because we can all learn from each other. But Doug just is on my shoulder and we sometimes will talk about clients. I'll say to him, hey, I've got this client, I'm really close, but they're just finding a problem like this. And he goes, okay, talk to them about this, talk to them about that when you have the conversation. Or I'll say to him, oh, I've got this client who's, this height and weight. And he tells you different words and analogies to use for when a person might be a larger person but short, which of course that means they're loaded and their insurance is going to be loaded. But of course you can't, you've got to be careful with your wording on stuff. And so,
how do you say it?
So most of that is, it's not just for your height and weight. Please be aware that you're going to be loaded, and loaded means blah. And so you're just keeping it in the same tone of voice and talking normally like, and us Kiwis have inflections at the end of our sentences and where we go up at the end of the sentence. And I've learnt to talk very straight and normal, and you're just keeping this tone of voice that's talking the normal like that.
Wow.
So yeah. That's good, eh?
I like that.
Yeah.
What are you like a case study in his book? What's the context
so then the book
there?
is very interesting. It's nearly like what I've said. So 2018, from nearly losing everything because I was about to sell that $8,000 car and have no car and walk and just blah, blah, blah. It was like really, really bad because I was really worried. And all of a sudden it was like the next week, I walked out with this, I can do everything. I can be good and I can be great and I can do stuff just from talking to someone else and knowing, hey, it's not that bad. And because I think if you drop down lower and lower and feel bad, it probably comes across in your manner. And it just went onwards from that. But yes, in the book, he wrote one book, Goals to Come True, which is totally aimed at advisors. So if it's a red and black book, it's on Amazon, so you can order it. And I'm a chapter in there, and it actually tells Doug and I talking all the way through my paragraph. But there's also other stories of other advisors in there. And he's also got a podcast called Goals to Come True that's got 100 episodes. I think I'm about episode 5 or 6. And today he's just announced he's starting off series 2. So when you listen to a podcast called Goals to Come True, in that there's a couple of amazing advisors, but then it's on to people around the world, not advisors. And some of them you might skip through, but other ones you go, oh my God, this is really good listening to. Why has this person got these goals? Where do they want to be? How are they going to get there? And then you can turn those goals back on, okay, well, what do I want? So my thing was, I really wanted got my first ever in my life brand new car. And that may sound big, may sound little, but that's huge, buying a brand new car.
Oh, driving it off the lot must be a great
and
feeling.
I got that in August of 2020, and Toyota didn't want me to, and I said, no, you can wait until I pick it up and you can actually talk to me, because I need to get a little bit excited, because they just wanted me to pick it up and drive it off. No,
I want a bit of fanfare.
So the man stood way away with his mask on and talked to me, which is perfectly fine.
I want a big bow on the front.
Yeah, I'm driving that car off. So MDRT, you have to qualify with certain numbers and that sort of thing. It's quite a complicated process, but once you've done it a few years, then you're just off and listening. So the first couple of years, all the conferences were cancelled because of COVID, and they were online. And I even set myself up and took a big tally to work, and I put a 2-seater couch in there, and I was offline for 3 days watching this as if I was at the conference to really get involved in it, which was really cool. And they did it exceptionally well. Then last year was Boston in June, and I went to Sydney in August. This year is Nashville in June, and I've been asked. And I've been asked to be a speaker, which is amazing. Did you not know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow. Congratulations.
So thank you. So MDRT actually contacted me. A lady called Amanda, who was the chairperson of Australia MDRT, put me forward as a speaker. So MDRT contacted me, said send us a topic. I sent them a topic, and then they replied back, "Yep, we've accepted you," because of course I could have written a really bad topic. So now you want to know what my topic is, right?
I'd love to.
Yeah. I was watching your face. So my topic is how to get insurance leads from your mortgage conversations. And the thing with the MDRT is there are a lot of different types of people there. They're all insurance and financial planning advisors. So there's no mortgage advisors there really. But because that's the type of environment it is. But the concept is I've then got to talk to about 3. When I do my talk, I've got to talk to about 3 different kinds of listeners. So a lot of people there are attached to, say, AIA, and that means they then will can't do mortgages. So I'll have to make sure my conversation talks about how to find a mortgage advisor, what you should be teaching them to listen to look to, etc., and to get the conversation right from the beginning about it. So I'm yet to write that talk. I'm going to be writing that this weekend.
Maybe we could workshop it a little bit. How did you even connect with those other mortgage advisors? You know, that little group you mentioned where you can message through. How do you connect with them, for instance?
Well, sometimes it's just watching people on Facebook, and you just drop a line to them and that sort of thing. Just like people are welcome to talk to me. You're not going to give away all these things, but you can share all your information, because you as I said earlier, you can't know everything. And then it depends who's quickly available. So you might send a message to a person, they might not reply for ages. And that's the other agreement. Only reply if you're available. If you're busy with a client, just reply when you can, and I might already have the answer, that sort of thing. But yeah.
I know that you juggle a few things. You got your business, you do mortgages, insurance, you got a couple of teenagers as well. I thought your chat at the TMM conference was really good because it jumped into time management. Yep. Can we jump into that again? Yeah. You might be repeating yourself a little bit, but just for those who haven't heard, how you structure your day and how you book meetings in, I think that'd be really cool to jump into. Cool. Well, first of all, and that's the point of also having a Helena. So she schedules all my clients. So the conversation and the talk went a little bit over 7 minutes, and that's why I asked Nikki running it to put me at the end, because that way she could stop me talking and put the minute up, but I didn't offend the first 2 speakers. So the most thing is that on a Friday lunchtime is my last client meeting. So I've already finished my last client meeting now today. And when I go back to work, I'll be prepping for the afternoon. Warwick's looking at his watch, just so you know. I'm making sure that we're not going overtime. No, you're fine. No, because what's going to happen is I'll go back to work. I've printed out all the fact finds for prepping for next week. And then I prep for all of my meetings on a Friday afternoon. So
it's also about setting boundaries for your business. I know a lot of the talk at TMM was about, I know there's a lot of people still drive to see a client. And please know that a lot my mortgages clients across the country, just because I live in Auckland doesn't mean they're here. And that's why I do well, because I've got $1 million loans, because I haven't. So all mortgage advisors should be able to do across the country. So your time is, if you're not driving, you've got that back. Then you're booking your meetings. All my meetings are on Zoom. So Helene and I are on Teams, so that's separate. When I'm going onto Zoom, I message her saying going into a Zoom, so she knows not to send me any messages so it doesn't ding. And then she's doing her own work, of course. Then we're into the Zoom meeting. This is the coolest part. I'm looking at the screen, and even though I'm having an amazing conversation with my clients, because I really do enjoy it, is bottom right, I'm watching the time. Because every meeting's half an hour. So recently I've met a couple of advisors who go, oh, my meetings are an hour to an hour and a half first mortgage meeting with a client. I'm going, oh my God, because I would think of myself as the worst mortgage client for a mortgage advisor, because I would be so bored after an hour and a half. I would be up on La La Land thinking, what's for tea, or what am I doing in the weekend? And you wouldn't know, because I could still look straight at you and you'd have no idea. But you've got to keep a person's interest in you. After doing this for so many years now, I really can look at people's eyes and see if they're interested, or it's the way they're sitting. If one person's sitting further back, like a couple yesterday at 5 o'clock, she was back a bit, and I said, come on, lady, you need to come forward and sit beside your husband. And then they sat really cute beside each other. And it was quite lovely, because they were both, they weren't a young couple, and they were really cute and close to each other. And I said, oh, that's really cute. And then he goes, we've only got one chair. And I said, oh, that's even cuter. You're together on the chair. So you can start off the meeting by that sort of thing, get into your numbers. Because I've prepped, if I've written down on here, couldn't finish prepping because of blah. So this particular couple had written down that they had an investment of $1 million when they didn't really have an investment of $1 million in the bank, and she'd mistyped that. So that was a good thing to know, because I thought, well, they won't want an investment property if they've got $1 million in the bank. But you're really going through that. But I'm timing this meeting. And a couple of minutes before it's due to finish, I go, hey, look, we're going to finish in about 2 minutes. We've covered a lot. Is there any questions you'd like to ask me before I go over the next steps? Because I know that I have covered everything, unless there's something surprise. So this morning I've already done an 8 o'clock meeting, and it only went for 10 minutes, because when we got on the screen, I was talking to the lady, and I actually sometimes put that question at the start. I say, hey, it's really nice to meet you, Warwick. Look, just to let you know, the process of the meeting is we're going to talk for the next. This lady was only a 15-minute meeting, because I knew it wasn't going to go anywhere, but I knew I needed to talk to her because I had an idea of making it go somewhere. And so she comes on the screen. I said, hey, look, this is what we're going to talk about, Sally. And she goes, and I go, but we're going to go through this bit, but is there anything you'd like to tell me first before we get into it? And then she went, well, actually there is. She goes, and it's upset me quite a bit, and it might upset you too, Sarah. And I'm thinking, oh, please don't tell me someone's died, because then I'll get teary, even if I don't know them. She said, oh, the gift that I was going to gift, I can't actually get the gift now because my mother's very ill and I have to bring her to New Zealand and look after her. And so I just wished her well and said that she was a kind person. And I said, hey, I said, let's just pause this for a minute. I'm still going to show you what you could do if you did have the money, but also you actually can't do much by yourself, and you really need to find another person. She went, what do I need to do? I said, well, you are a single person, but even though you're going to be looking after mum, think about your friends or cousins or someone your age group that you can buy a house with, that you maybe can own for 3 to 5 years, and together you're owning a house that could then be $700,000. I think she was in Christchurch, so she could buy quite well. And I said, then you can do something else. And that's why, instead of just cutting the person at the bottom, they can't do anything. It's only $350K of lending, and she didn't have very much deposit, etc. Was to spend that time, because even then she said, oh my God, that's amazing. You know, you've already made her a bit happier, made a decision. She may or may not come back to me, but if she doesn't, that's still okay. You've given her some thought. But I wished her very well, and I was, obviously you're kind, because bless her, she's given up her life to now look after the mother, and she'll still have a job and stuff, but the mother's not very well. And so you hear all these stories, but
sometimes you just need to give people hope.
Oh, you do, hope, and talking about things that sometimes digress to the side, and I'll say to them, okay, let's digress to the side for 30 seconds, blah.
I wanted to also ask about, say if somebody insists on you coming out to meet them in person, and it could be a good opportunity for you.
Yeah.
What do you do in that case?
Well, I haven't had that for a long time, but I've got a really nice office, and I had somebody, which I love my office, and it's only 2 kilometres from home, and many times I think I could save the money and work from home, and I think it's good for your mindset to leave home and, and then leave the office to go home. And this couple wanted to do insurance, and they were insistent that they come in, and they actually live in my area. And I really didn't want them coming in either. They're very nice, and their email sounded lovely and all that sort of thing. But I'm so used to doing things on Zoom where I can be watching the time, I can be pulling the meeting in, and I can be finishing it when I want to finish it. This couple ended up I just couldn't, an hour and 45 or something for an insurance meeting. Then they left and then they went to, because they really didn't want to work with their insurance advisor anymore. They really didn't like this person. They wanted to move to me because they'd heard great things about me. And then I got this email about a few days later, oh, we've decided to stay with our insurance advisor. He or she's come back with much less price and blah, blah, blah. And all I did, even though I was really gutted, was I just sent the really nice email, even though you feel like dropping F-bombs, is actually email and say, hey, okay, I wish you all the best. And if you know any friends or family who would like to deal with me, I'd love to help them, because there's no point getting angry or something about it. Got it. But then I said to Lena, and that's why I don't see people in the real, because I can't put, like an insurance meeting, I can really pull much shorter than that time. But people then relax and then they want to tell you more stuff. And, they're filling it as part of their day off to fill in the day. So that person in your example, I would just say, hey, look, I work on Zoom, and that's to save you time as well, so you can be at home and come on Zoom. And the other thing, just adding that to, is lots of people think they've got to be together for the meeting, and that's what Helena's very good about, is getting the meetings. Sometimes we'll put it into context, a lady at work in an office and a man sitting in a car because he's come out of work, or he's a construction worker or a tradie of some other kind, and he's sitting in the car, or the reverse. The lady this morning looked like she was a tradie because she's in the construction industry doing something. But she was sitting in the car. So it doesn't have to be at 8 a.m. or 5 p.m. And I think this is leading on to managing your day in time. I don't work weekends. Sometimes I do 1 or 2 meetings on Sunday around 5 because that's sometimes when people are free, but I don't talk any later. My last meeting's during the week at 5:30, and I don't work Friday evenings because that's gin time. So yeah.
Fish and chip time too.
Yeah, fish and chip and gin time.
Yeah.
But it's also teaching clients that if you talk at that time, I want their time to be their time, my time to be my time, because you've got to refresh your head. So when you're driving places, when you're going to clients and weekends, when you're doing meetings with no fact find, and after that meeting, I did hear some people go, I didn't want to put my hand up because I do drive to clients or I do go to them with no fact find. Really take it on board yourself. They go, oh, but Sarah, it was a lead. Okay, yeah, it's not a lead if you've got no information. But how come the clients aren't giving me the information? Because they haven't bought in. If they're not making any effort, filling in a fact find and then coming on Zoom, they're not filling, you're the one going to their house with nothing.
And those are the ones that just don't convert. I was just thinking about that story about the people insisting coming to the office.
Yeah.
It's so often the ones that like make a big song and dance about it.
Yep.
It's almost like because they don't value your time.
Yep.
Or
maybe.
your process. I don't know.
Yeah, probably both of those, but it's all, you've got to go back to what I know and works. So it's the Zoom stuff. So even though sometimes I find it hard because I don't see many real people. So sometimes.
You enjoying this?
Yeah, really enjoying being with your work. Yeah. Is that sometimes like my only real person during the day might be the people in the bakery where I buy my sandwich. And then lots of times I actually cook my lunch at work because I've got a really nice kitchen. And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to see a real person. I need to walk around the block. So I'll just, in Teams, I'll message Helena, go for a walk around the block. And then I'll walk around, like, okay, I've seen some real people now, and then back into the office because everybody's on Zoom. Yes. Yeah, and we've got to see real people. And because I don't do any networking or anything, it's yeah. So going to the TMM conference was fantastic, and that was a day one. Going to the FSC one was good for speakers and that sort of thing, and that was quite shorter, which was good, and that's a good one every year. But I think any events like that are good to catch up with people, and sometimes they're about the learning, but they're actually catching up with people as well. So yeah.
So you got a chance to connect with a few advisors when you were there?
At the FSC?
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of people come up to me and it's really nice because, of course, you might not have seen each other for ages or you might not actually know the person in the real. So that is why lanyards are real good because you go, oh, that's so-and-so, cool. Hey, how are you? And because their name's on the lanyard.
Our team probably recognise you because we've got your magnet with the notepad on our fridge.
See? Exactly. So it's cool. So there's another little thing is make sure your clients, when you have something of whether it's just a business card with a magnet on it, they stick on the fridge or something or your pen with your name on it. And then they know that when the pen runs out or the pad runs out or something to get another copy of it. Yeah. And
is it like intentional as well, like putting your face on it? Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So everything should have even though, and that's a cool thing is like my business doesn't have my name in it because one day in the future we're all probably going to sell at some stage, so don't have your name in it. But on your advertising material, even you can have all your processes in place, but it's about you. People are connecting with you. So this is a sort of thing. I've asked being a speaker actually also with Logan Reardon at the Auckland Property Lawyers Conference in April 27th, which is a real honour to be asked. A lawyer called me up and asked me to come and speak. Now, lawyers are really hard people to connect with because their talking is wrong. So one of the topics we've got is lawyer communication with each other so that we all talk
No. I mean, even talking about that, do you form those relationships and that communication channels with lawyers and other building inspectors? Do you have that type of thing set up?
I don't. I let people get off and do that themselves. Okay. But I advise them. I just say, hey, look, so I've got a lot of clients in Wellington. So put a post on your local Facebook page, put an ad up that says, hey, we're looking for a building inspector, first home buyers.
I always feel that, I've heard another story you told me in the past about, just sometimes sitting next to the right person, knowing the right person. It's always that it seems lucky from the surface.
Yeah.
Because you're prepared for it.
Yep. So sometimes when you go to events, I've digressed for a minute. I went to an event 3 or 4 years ago and someone had signed their name on my surname Bloxham. And I went to the people, someone's put their signature on my name. They went, oh yeah, that guy over there, his name's Bloxham. I went, no, I'm going to sit beside him and just be cheeky. Well, we got on like a house on fire. We left the conference early and went to a bar and had lots of drinks. Really, really nice guy who owns a recruitment company and he's quite fantastic. So when you set little different things like this, definitely talk to the people either side of you. Yesterday I happened to actually go fishing on a networking event. I'm very sore today. I've got a very sore arm because I pulled in the biggest fish.
Oh, here we go. What'd you pull in?
61 centimetres.
Was it snapper?
Yeah.
Beauty. Did you get to take it home?
I'll show you pictures, yeah. So it was a networking fishing trip that Adrian Hunt, who's on the page, organised, and I've been on 3 of them now. Hamish was there. And it was just a cool thing of you're different people meeting. So you're not all advisors talking to each other. So I took my accountant, Justin. He had a good time talking to people and that. But boy, you were pulling in the fish. And that was pretty exciting. So my knees are knackered from leaning against the boat. Because when I pulled in this fish, I was reeling it in and the fish was taking it back. And I was just like, what have I got? Have I hooked onto someone on the other side? Are they reeling it in from that side? And there was definitely a fish. When I pulled it in, it was like, awesome.
Oh, that's
yeah,
so
we
cool.
got a whole haul of 105 by noon and we were coming back. And when we went to get them filleted, there was a group of about 10 guys before us. And I said, how'd you guys do? And they said, oh, yeah, we got 40. I said, oh, and I thought, crikey, we better stay quiet. And then he said, how many did you get? I said, oh, we got our 105. And he went, no. And I said, yeah, and I got the biggest. Do you want to see? And they went, yeah. And when I showed them the fish, they were like, so you've got to have little bits of life, which are, and I think that's also an MDRT philosophy. You've got to look after yourself as well. And I'm not very good at doing that. And so when the fishing trip was already booked and the conference was supposed to be 3 weeks ago, but the cyclone happened and then the conference moved to Wednesday. And I thought, I'm still going to go. And so after the FSC conference, I had 2 client meetings. And after the fishing trip, I had 2 client meetings just to keep looking after the clients rather than pushing them out. So, because in the end, it's all about the clients. We've got to have those prospects coming in to turn them into clients.
Got to convert.
Yep.
And I know you're very goal orientated.
Yep.
What are your goals now?
Interesting. And funny enough, my accountant was talking to me about that yesterday on the boat. Sometimes it's not a good idea having your accountant on the boat because Justin, my accountant, isn't your standard accountant. He's not just
It's counting the fish.
Yeah.
That's why you knew there was 105.
Yeah. Well, that's probably one thing. But they're sort of advisory as well. So they're really trying to help you grow your business. And so he's always talking about that. And mine, like right now, I know I'm 2 million off what my numbers were last year. So I know exactly what they were. And so do I have goals? I would like to stick to those millions next year. I'm not going to say what that number is because it's quite a big number. And if you can stick to that number, you're earning exceptionally well. I'm always making sure Helena's paid well and I'm paid quite well. Helena's encouraged me to get another new car and I don't really want another new car because I do like, in August I've had it 3 years, you see. So, but I'm, I'll stay with the current one. I was thinking of a batch because I quite like a batch. That's not a business goal, but anyway.
Yeah,
that's quite a cool goal, right?
Kiwi dream.
Yeah.
Set that little goal.
So business goals, just really to be looking after Kiwis in New Zealand. We do a lot of first home loans. So since that criteria changed maybe 10 months plus ago, the first home loans didn't have to be under the caps of the areas and it was just joint income under 150 for IRD statements back, job for 12 months or similar like-for-like job for 24 months. I'm just doing so many of them. And they used to all go to one lender and now we're spreading them across 2 lenders. And it's really good doing that rather than trying to spread them across all of the first home lenders because you really truly know how they're assessing it and then you get it through quicker. And that goes back to how do you submit your applications. So I've got one of the big banks I do a lot of loans to, and when they actually ring me and go, Sarah, we really like your applications. We've got assessors who want to be doing yours. And I go, no, don't change my assessors. I really like my assessors at the minute because I know they'll go through, or I know if they ask a question, that means we really have a problem. And so when one of the first home loan providers just started really pulling our stuff to pieces, I was like, okay, I can't have one lender saying our applications are amazing and another lender saying they're not when I actually know they're good. So that's when we're now spreading our load across another one who talks a bit more to us about the applications. Yeah, but first home loans are just amazing for people to get the pre-approval first, not do live applications going in. It's far too stressful. I'm trying to manage the client's stress so they enjoy the journey. That's a good line, eh?
I love that.
Yeah.
Put it on the website.
Yeah.
It can be a very stressful time for the
100%.
There's so many little bits and pieces.
And that's why I say to people, and sometimes I have people waiting for the pre-approval because they want to put an offer on something, and we'll be doing it nearly on the same day. So, and some advisors go, oh, Sarah, they can miss out on the house, but it means the finance side is signed off, and the bank's happy. So, and the other then, you know how I was saying I don't talk and late at night, I don't talk weekends. I actually on Sunday night had a Zoom 15-minute meeting with a client at 9 o'clock at night, which is very late, because they were putting an offer up first thing in the morning on a $1.3 million new build. And it was worth my while talking to them. I'm finding a lot of completed new builds at the moment, either with total and CCC or waiting for CCC. And this one's just waiting for CCC. I had just got them the approval like 2 days earlier, say the Thursday or the Friday. And this is the Sunday. So they got it all signed by Wednesday. We did the urgent valuation. The valuation came through in 1 day for the valuation. And now I'm waiting to go unconditional either today or Monday. And then he'll probably settle in the next month because the CCC had already been submitted.
Oh, that's golden.
Yeah. So you can see why I actually got off that 9 o'clock Zoom, and you want your brain to slow down so you go to sleep. But then I got on my phone and said, okay, that's going to earn X amount. Okay, that's worth it. That's actually, and this couple, he just keeps singing our praises to me and Helena. So when I get any really nice messages, I'll copy them and paste them into Teams so she doesn't miss out getting the accolade. So if you listening have an assistant or a couple of assistants, make sure they share in the glory, because the glory is definitely never, ever about the mortgage advisor. It's about the assistants / client managers as well, because they are together, you're a team getting the client across the line.
Oh, same with us. Whenever somebody gives me any positive feedback about somebody else in the team, whether it be like support or compliance, you just got to share that in the chat. Because those roles, you do find you're probably sometimes sweeping up the the frustrated.
Yeah, that was a good word. Yeah.
Frustrated ones, yeah. So, celebrating the wins, so important. Celebrating life's moments, go on those fishing trips, go to those conferences. Meet
so people. Helena and I, we always celebrate her anniversary, which is August the 5th. We're normally all together with, she will come to.
Anniversary joining you?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so you've got to celebrate. I'll celebrate any anniversary for anything. And so October, I've been 8 years in business. August the 5th, she's been for 4 years with me. October, I also, what else did I do? Started insurance. There's a whole lot of stuff that started in October for me, so it's a busy month. But August the 5th, so Helena, when she started for me, was in Auckland. Then they moved to Hastings. So then I would either fly down there for her anniversary or she'd come up, etc. And then she's just gone across the Gold Coast for a holiday now. So in advance, she'd just dropped in the conversation, because we both like books, that she liked this particular book. So while she's talking, I'm looking at her face and I'm handwriting down the name of the book so she can't see them running it down. And then I'm ordering the book so she can get it at her house before she goes on the holiday. So when you do little surprises like that for people, they're only tidy, or she's celiac, and I found Dr. Bug's popcorn is gluten-free. So I surprised her with a box of this popcorn. And so if you do stuff like that for people, it's just quite lovely, because now I've got the popcorn as well, which is really nice popcorn.
People remember that kind of thing.
Yeah. But it's looking after those people who work for you or her friends or anything like that, with little thoughtful things. So
quite often I think of little gifts. Maybe I should do it for people I work with as well, but just for close friends and family, when it gets to their birthday, like a month out, you're going, oh, what should I get them? But throughout the year, you often have good little ideas. So I'll put a little note in my phone for gifts. And I'll be like, that's a good one.
That's a bit organised, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can't even say for a bloke, because that would be wrong, but that's very organised. That's good.
Sometimes I'll surprise people and myself.
But that's also thinking of the clients and listening. So one of the things when clients settle, I always say to them, hey, when you get a house in New Zealand, one of the things you do first night is fish and chips. And I've just seen that over the years of people doing it, and now I'm really trying to get people to do it. And I get so many photos of people having fish and chips on their floor because they've got no furniture.
We did that.
And it's quite lovely. Did you?
We had fish and chips, and
awesome.
there's a bottle of champagne in the fridge that was left. I can't remember. It might have been by the agent. Or whoever. But
fish and chips with bubbles, cool.
It was unique, and I spilt the champagne all over the floor.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
but then I'll have different cultures go to me. Sarah, we don't do fish and chips. I go, that's okay. What do you do? Oh, I do this. Awesome. Do it and the first night on your house, send me a photo. So some of our newsletters are actually client success stories, and they'll send us a photo of themselves and a little bit of wording, because it's really nice for the people getting the newsletter to go, oh, we got these people into a house, so it might be 5 people. And and it's just good. You're sharing that love around of this is what difference we can make. The one thing I do really try and teach clients is sometimes it's not today in our first meeting, and 95% of the time, I don't actually want to close a client in the first meeting. I'll probably do it a couple weeks later. I've got one client was started this week, and now next week I'm meeting him again because he's tidied up his expenses, his and her, and we'll be moving into a pre-approval for a first home loan, and she's still on maternity leave. So we talk all about how that works, going back to work after maternity leave, what we need in the letter. And he's quite excited now because he goes, can you get our lending any higher? We really like to be a little bit higher. So I got them to a 950 purchase with the new numbers. I'll meet with them next week, and then we'll move into the process of a pre-approval. So the clients have the conversation. This is how our process works. This is what Helena does with you. This is when I come back in. You're always informed when this happens, that happens, etc.
Communication's key.
Oh, and that is a phrase I say a lot. Communication is key. And I do say to clients, what I don't want is you ever to think, am I waiting for Sarah or Sarah waiting for us? That should never happen. So, yeah, and I say, just message me in Messenger if you forget. I said, because please remember, I'm in this business. I could talk about it forever. We're in different forests, as I refer to. I'm deep in the mortgage forest, and I'm trying to teach you stuff. But if you get over this and go, whoa, Sarah talked a lot, just drop a line in Messenger, because you'll think of a question as soon as we're finished, and then I can answer your question. Please know if it changes to too much I can't offer you financial advice. It'll change back to an email, and that way I'll keep the email trail in trail. That was good to say out loud, eh?
Email trail and trail.
Yeah. But
beautiful.
That was good, yeah.
It's been amazing hearing about your journey and all of your little tips and tricks. I think it's inspiring to listen to it. And I think a lot of advisors will get a lot of enjoyment out of it, as well as learning some
The time
cool
is
tips.
zoomed by, eh?
Yeah, it goes quick.
Yeah.
I try not to look at my watch because it makes it look like I'm bored. But
No, don't.
I know that if I don't, then time just goes so quickly.
Well. Yeah.
We've done very well. So
also I forgot to say, I think the FSC might be asking me to be a speaker next year.
look at you.
That's
You're
no
going
surprise
to start
see.
charging for your speaking.
Well, I just met with a person on the stage, and I said, oh my gosh, you're a fantastic facilitator.
Yeah.
And she'd met me before, and I said, you're ANZ, and she goes, yeah. And she goes, you should be a speaker next year. I went, okay. And so
There you go.
once again, it's connecting with people, you see, and then you're sharing your knowledge, because there's, you're sitting up on stage once again like this, sharing your knowledge, because we can all learn something off everybody. So even out of this podcast now, if we can all take something from a podcast, a book, remember Doug Bennett's Goals to Country podcast and book, you can pick little bits out of everything and then change your business. And every single business will be different. We've still got to tick boxes for our head groups and the FMA, etc. But we'll be good for a client out there, and it'll be a different client to each other.
Beautifully put.
How was that summarised?
Beautifully put.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining us today.
Okay, thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Cheers, Sarah.
Yay, that was awesome.
I loved it.